I'm Josh Lawrence, a technical service specialist with McElroy Manufacturing. I'm going to talk to you today about the McElroy Series 3 DataLogger, and then I'll walk you through setting up to record the fusion process. You can tell if your unit is a McElroy Series 3 DataLogger by looking at the serial number. It will begin with MDL3. The McElroy DataLogger is used to record and document the key parameters of the fusion process and verify that proper fusion procedures have been followed prior to installation. The DataLogger records the heater temperature and fusion pressure profile over time. All data is recorded in the DataLogger and then is transmitted to the handheld computer where the joint report can be stored, viewed, printed, or transferred to a desktop computer for analyzing and archiving. We'll start on the main screen. Check the time and date. It is important that it is correct, as the joint reports will use this time and date to log when the report was made. Use the stylus to tap the date, then hit the keyboard icon to enter the correct date. You can use the drop-down box next to the date and pick the correct day. Tap OK to exit. Also, make sure the Bluetooth is turned on. When it is, tap Done. Open the DataLogger program in the Start menu. Really quick, let's look at the settings screen. Get there by hitting Menu, Settings. In this screen, we can adjust the units of measure as well as our temperature offset. The temperature offset allows us to re-zero the pyrometer for an external calibrated pyrometer. We use this when an inspector has a pyrometer that reads slightly differently than the DataLogger does. If he insists, for example, hey, your temperature is 10 degrees different than mine, we can add an offset of 10 degrees or minus 10 degrees, depending on which way we need to zero our pyrometer. Do not change the COM port. We will set this unit up to record a 16-inch IPS DR11 fusion. Tap Menu, then Log Status. Next, tap Setup. It may come up with the data from the last joint. If we're starting a new job or anything has changed, we will hit No and enter new data. We'll start off by entering the machine's information. The ID is usually the serial number of the machine. Then, use the drop-down box to select the machine that you are using as well as the force of the cylinders. It is important that you get this correct, as the total effective piston area will be used to calculate fusion pressure. In this case, I am going to use a T618 high force. You can see that the total effective piston area is 11.78, which matches the sticker on my cylinder. Next, it's going to ask for the information about who is making the fusion. In this case, I am, so I will put my name and then a job number. This can be anything that will help you remember when this fusion occurred. For example, if it occurred on a PO or if it occurred at a job site, maybe a golf course. It can be whatever you need. Next, we'll pick the material. You can use the drop-down box and pick the material from the menu. If what you're fusing is not there, you can click Unlisted. I'm going to have a good time and say that I am fusing special pipe. And as always, you can open the keyboard and tap the letters you need. Next, I'm going to put the pipe size. Again, this must be correct as it's one of the variables in the fusion pressure calculation. I'm fusing 16-inch IPS DR11. I am fusing to ASTM F2620, which specifies an interfacial pressure range of 60 to 90 psi. There are 4 boxes which allow you to choose the interfacial pressure that you want to use for each part of the fusion process. The beat up, the soak, when we make the fusion, and for the duration of the cool. The middle of the pressure range that ASTM specifies is 75. So for beat up, I'm going to use 75. Soak should always be 0. For my fusion and for the cool, it will be at 75 pounds per square inch. Next, it's asking me for any notes that I have for this joint. This is where I can put anything and everything that might be important. For example, maybe this is a tie-in, so I might have high drag. Or maybe this fusion was done in extreme cold, so I'll have a longer heat soak than normal. Just remember that any notes you put in cannot be altered once the fusion process has started. When you hit Next, you will be prompted to make sure that the DataLogger is turned on. Touch the one button on the DataLogger and make sure that the blue light starts flashing. Otherwise, you will get an error message, such as this. In the event this happens, just click back and we can go again. In this video, we're not going to cover how to measure drag, but there are videos available that show you. In this case, I'm going to use the default drag pressure of 30. If I tap Next, 30 will appear in that box, and then I tap Next again. Now the DataLogger is giving me the recommended pressures. So let's go ahead and fire the machine up. Make sure that the carriage is in the closed position and allow the carriage to bottom out. Once again, you'll notice that I've already faced off, so I don't have to worry about damaging the machine. Put the selector valve into fusion pressure. Dial the corresponding pressure reducing valve until the displayed pressure matches the recommended pressure. Then shift the selector valve into heating. Adjust the corresponding pressure valve to match what your drag is, in this case 30. Then hit Next. Now the handheld is prompting me to check my heater temperature. Wipe the heater down with a lint-free, clean, non-synthetic cloth. Then we will check the temperature. Hold the DataLogger perpendicular to the heater. Push the button and two lasers appear. Move the DataLogger back and forth until the two lasers are on top of each other. Make sure that the point where they converge is where the pipe will touch the heater. This will give us the temperature reading. ASTM specifies 400 to 450. Make sure and release the button on the DataLogger before pulling the DataLogger away. Verify that your heater temperature was logged. And then we are ready to record a fusion. I've already faced off my pipe and the alignment is good. Open the carriage just enough to install the heater. At this point, we will start recording. Tap Start on the handheld screen. Now I'm going to wait until the stopwatch shows at least 5 seconds before closing the pipe onto the heater. I want to make sure I record the entire fusion process. From here on, I continue the fusion process as normal. I can use the stopwatch feature to time my soak cycle or my cool cycle, and I can reset it any time. It will not show up on the joint report. I can also disconnect the DataLogger and the Pocket PC to conserve battery power by tapping Disconnect. This is especially useful on larger pipe sizes where the fusion process takes a little while. At this point, all of the data is being recorded in the DataLogger, so the connection isn't even necessary. So let's speed this up so we can get to the end of the fusion process. Now I will reset the stopwatch so that I know when the cool cycle is complete. Now that my cool cycle is complete, I will stop recording. Stop the recording process before moving any of the hydraulic controls to reset for the next fusion. I don't want to record any of that activity. I disconnected the DataLogger, so I'll need to reconnect it first. Simply tap Connect. Then I'll tap Stop and confirm that I want to stop recording. The handheld will download the data, create a report, and then display it for you. When I'm set for my next fusion, tap Menu, then Log Status, and the handheld stored the data that I entered for the previous fusion, so I won't have to enter all this again until we start a different job or we change our setup. The handheld automatically advances the joint number. In the next video, we will look at the same joint report from a desktop computer. I will show you how to read the report and how to take a closer look at each individual part of the fusion process. Be sure to check out McElroy's many other videos to help with all your fusion needs. Go to www.mcelroy.com/fusion to find additional information, including charts and other reference materials.